to the amendment.
Yeah, thanks, Honourable Speaker. I appreciate that. I won't take up too much of the House's time because the House has some work to do when it comes to the important legislation.
And a substantive motion to deal with still.
Before it. That legislation is all about doing what this government has been very, very good at, and that's creating jobs and opportunity for Tasmanians. Now, I can come to the Greens motion a little later on if we get to that point, of which I utterly reject. I utterly reject. If you want to bring a motion to this place around policy and not personality, then do it. Then do it. Yes. You should have the courage of your conviction to bring forward a policy. A policy. Well, it very much is a personal attack when it comes to the language that you have used, and I reject it. I reject it. And I have a responsibility as Premier of Tasmania to listen to all sides of the discussion when it comes to gaming reform. We put our commitment out there on the 16th of February, and the announcement today aligns with that. We do need to do more work to get this right. It is a very complex and challenging project, and we will seek the assistance of other states when it comes to the pre-commitment card. In the meantime,
you've abandoned it.
We want to support people with gambling addiction now through other areas of action, of which we have also said in our policy announcement on the 16th of February.
It will do nothing.
Of February. So, well, you don't know that, actually.
Everyone
you
else
don't know that, actually.
The Leader of the Greens will stop interjecting and the Premier will direct his remarks through the Chair.
And so I reject utterly what you have said. Yes, we have a policy difference on this issue, and I respect that policy difference. But this is not the time to go and overreach, which this is, around want of confidence. The Tasmanian people do not want an election. They don't want it. They want a government that was elected on March the 23rd to get on with the job. But should this motion pass, I will go to the Governor, and I'll have no choice but to call an election. It's not your choice. But be on your head. But be on your head and ask for an election.
The Leader of the Greens will stop, and the Leader of Opposition Business is now joining the list of people who are warned, and Ms Butler is very close in joining him in that.
So be it on your heads for the petty politics that you are playing today in terms of a policy difference only, and the Labor Party can't even articulate what they're on about. At least you've said something. I disagree with all of it, but you've outlined some reasons why. But what you have demonstrated, Mr Winter, very clearly, is that you have nothing.
Through the Chair.
That's right.
Honourable Speaker. You have nothing. And you have proven by your actions today that disruption is the #1 game in town when it comes to the Labor Party. You cannot accept the fact that you squibbed it on March the 23rd. Every government across the world and Australia is having challenging times right now. Why is that? Because there is global cost of living challenges. There is housing challenges. Look around the world where governments have changed because of this issue, and around this country indeed. In fact, in the last 12 months, we're probably the only government that has been successful in retaining government because we have reached in and listened to the Tasmanian people. We have reached in and looked at ways that we can improve people's lives, make people's lives more affordable. And I can come to that in just a moment. But what the community do not want is an election right now. They had their say on March the 23rd and they entrusted every single person in this chamber to work together. By all means, have policy differences, of which this is, albeit not too far apart, I'd have to say, when it comes to the number one game in town, which is supporting vulnerable Tasmanians, of which we've always stood for. But I will have no choice, should one of these motions pass, than go to the government and seek an election. And Tasmanians do not want that. They do not want the disruption that the Labor Party and others have caused, and there has been largely this year a great deal of maturity when it comes to the new Parliament, particularly the crossbench. And all of us have got something out of this Parliament. The Labor Party have moved legislation and it's been passed in the upper house. The crossbench have been successful in influencing policy and legislation. The Greens, through working across the Parliament, have got some policy advances when it comes to the expungement bill from memory. So Tasmanians are looking at us very seriously right now in terms of, do we have the capability to argue policy difference without blowing the show up? Without blowing the show up. Does this Parliament have the maturity to do that? And I accept more than anyone, as I have said, in committees, Ms O'Dowd, the media every week, Ms Dow, the media every week, you could not accuse me of shying away from responsibility. Responsibility.
Except yesterday when you didn't show up.
You have been warned, Dr.
Where I was invited as Minister for Infrastructure, I have a cabinet all day. Our Minister for Infrastructure attended, and I'll be attending on the 29th of November at 8:40 a.m. Okay? So don't get me started on me shirking my responsibility for scrutiny. And you could argue on the day's events where we could have issued a media release on the 5th of December about the matter that Dr Woodruff has moved her motion. But we did it before question time today with 2 weeks of scrutiny about that and other issues.
That's right. Other issues.
So we were upfront
I'd say so.
and honest. This is our position.
Couldn't you have just done what you promised to do?
This is our position.
Leader of
But
the
that's a
Greens.
policy difference.
No.
Leader of the Greens, this is your substantive motion.
Your
I don't want
policy
to ask you to leave.
is different to ours. We remain committed to pre-commitment. We've deferred it because I want the support of other states and the input. As simple as that. But I also want to act right now on the issues when it comes to harm minimisation, of which we can all agree. It so happens the Labor Party agree with us, largely, on the policies, and that was demonstrated by, I think, Honourable Minister Abetz when it comes to quoting Mr Winter, I'm not sure when.
Today.
Today.
On ABC.
Today. So there you go. All right? So we could have a policy discussion and keep the politics and the personalities and the game playing and the accusations and the personal attacks, which I am happy to wear, frankly. What I won't wear is personal attacks on any staff member of any person in this chamber.
Shameful.
In this chamber. I will not stand for any attack on anyone's staff in this chamber, because we've got to get on with the job. It just so happens, despite all of this, I was at the Workplace Culture Committee at lunchtime talking about workplace culture in this parliament, of which we're trying to improve.
Yeah.
So I reject reaching in and criticising other members' staff as you have done.
I did not.
Shameful.
I
The
did
front-
not. I did not. I criticised you for not recognising you.
If the member claims to be misrepresented, there are forms of the House that she may use. Otherwise, I will have to warn her for a second time. I don't want to have to do that. This motion is yours.
I mean, when I stand for
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.
On that, I would ask the Premier to withdraw. I did not criticise that staff member. I did not.
If the member has
I
taken,
criticised them for not recognising.
you can't make an argument about it. If the member has been offended, I would ask the Premier to withdraw the comment.
I am offended by that.
And the Premier, I will ask you to withdraw the comment.
well, if people are offended.
No, it's got to be.
No, not if you're offended. Just say withdraw, and then you may continue your contribution. They are the standing orders. We are going to use them. Premier, I ask you to
I
withdraw.
withdraw.
Thank you.
But I'll make the point that your commentary, Dr Woodruff, ended up on the front page of a major newspaper where a family would have been deeply hurt.
Yep.
Where a family would have been deeply hurt.
About that.
So we need to be very careful of what we say in this place. I'm up for it. I stand for election. I've stood for 7. I know I'll be criticised, particularly through campaigns and particularly as leader of a party and Premier of Tasmania. But keep other people out of it who are just doing, frankly, a job. So let's argue about the policy. And this is a difficult policy, which I'm happy to come to if it comes to the substantive motion once again and the amendment is rejected. And take the politics or the personality and the personal attacks out of it. So I want to be very clear. We have almost survived the year as a new parliament. I would argue a far more mature parliament and constructive parliament than 12 months ago. Far more mature and constructive and got more done, frankly. Where everyone's had a win. Where everyone has had a win. But if you're going to blow up the show today because of a policy difference, because we disagree on a matter which is yours and my right, then that is a great shame on behalf of the people of Tasmania, who I believe will take a very dim view of people that choose to do that.